Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome Stanton Friedman, a nuclear physicist, a lecturer, a scientist. He has been practicing nuclear physics for 14 years as a professional. He was employed by GE, GM Westinghouse, TRW Systems, Aerojet General Nucleonics, and McDonnell Douglas, working in highly advanced, highly classified, and then canceled programs such as nuclear aircraft, fission, and fusion rockets, and also the impacts of nuclear power plants for space and terrestrial applications. He has been researching UFOs for 50 years, the science of UFOs. He is also the author of Flying Saucers and Science. A scientist investigates the mysteries of UFOs. He's the co-author of a book called Captured. And he is also the author, along with Kathleen Marden, of a new book that's out called Science Was Wrong. He has many DVDs and books that can be purchased, and you should go to stantonfriedman.com for that. It is my great honor to welcome one of the fathers of the scientific side of ufology, Stanton Friedman, to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
Well, glad to be on. I'm glad you didn't call me the great-grandfather. I have a great-grandson, incidentally.
Well, I think that, firstly, when somebody is hosting a piece on this subject, they first should come forward and share their bias. So before we begin with you and questions and dialogues with you, I want to say my bias as the host.
Okay.
And my bias is this. I am receptive to the possibility and the facts that we are not alone, that there has been another race of people or aliens or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, that has predated humanity. I am open to the fact that witness testimonies for over 50 years and beyond have been given for people all over the world, in every country of the world, that have seen some type of craft that is not technology that we know about. I accept that there are classifications for information secrecy relative to the National Security Agency, not only in the United States of America, but in other countries of the world. And I accept the fact and the possibility that something this large has a very huge infrastructure protocol for being kept quiet for over 50 years. So I accept that. I've also had family members who have witnessed craft in Palm Springs and Palm Desert, California. And so I know how serious and conservative they are, and I know that them and their children would not be making up these stories. So with that said, I want to say that I read your book, Flying Saucers and Science. A scientist investigates the mysteries of UFOs. And I definitely could feel that you have gone through a lot in 50 years to steward the scientific side of this and to deal with it scientifically. And so the first thing I wanted to do was say thank you.
You're welcome.
The second thing I wanted to do is contextualize this whole realm. Talk a little bit about classified documents, need to know, and clearances so that the audience is familiar, that you're on the inside of this and you understand how this works.
Yeah, it's one of the myths. There are many myths about national security and access to highly classified information. One of them, for example, is that anybody with, say, a secret clearance has authority to see anything that's classified secret. That is not true. There are two requirements for access to information that's classified. One is an appropriate clearance, and two is a need to know. And, for example, when I was working on nuclear airplanes, on radiation shielding, there were classified reports being done by Admiral Rickover's people on radiation shielding for nuclear submarines. And I wanted to gain access. There's a classified abstract journal, and so I saw these, and, it's just what I need to know. Well, I couldn't get access. I had the right clearance, but I didn't have a need to know. Secondly, there are strata, if you will. There's data that's confidential, data that's secret, data that's top secret, and then there's top secret code word. Umbra, Ultra, Majic, stuff like that. And the number of people with access to the top secret code word stuff can be very small, as few as a half a dozen sometimes. And so one of the major ways that the government keeps things covered up is to take advantage of the egos in Washington, people who say, well, if that were true, I would know about it because I have a high-level clearance and I'm on the inside. And that simply isn't true. I mean, you have the simple example of Vice President Harry Truman not knowing anything about the Manhattan Project to develop nuclear weapons. Okay, he becomes president. Do they tell him? No. The only time he got told was 13 days after President Roosevelt died in April of 45, and Truman had to make the decisions about dropping the atomic bomb. He had known nothing about it prior to that. So that's one of a zillion different examples, but need to know is primary. And one of the things that we have to recognize that in today's world, presidents may not have a need to know for all kinds of things because they deal with the press. They're out in public. They may inadvertently say something. There's another thing. I've written a book about the Majestic 12 documents and stuff.
Yes.
I get people telling me, well, surely those guys, 13 actually named people involved, would have told their wives. That's absolute nonsense. You don't tell your wife because you don't want, there's no way you can constrain what she says to other people when she doesn't know the rules of the game. And she doesn't know where a piece of information from here might help somebody who knows something from there. And so it is not easy to gain access. And there's another thing. People think that classified information is automatically declassified after X years, where X can be 20, 25, 30. That isn't true. There's some stuff, is classified for 60 years, 70 years. Now, sometimes you get lucky, and the guy who's running the declassification desk now doesn't know why this was classified in the first place, and there may have been a good reason. So you don't. Also, there is an enormous amount of classified material out there. The National Archives, has literally billions of documents. One Air Force record group, 341, has 9,800 feet of material. That's shelf space of archive boxes. That's 1,000 four-drawer filing cabinets. And that's just Air Force headquarters from, say, 48 until 56. So the Eisenhower Library still has 250,000 classified documents. He went out of office in 1961, mind you. And so you don't get to rummage through these things and say, I want a copy, and they say, no, you can't have it. You call for boxes, they give you the boxes. If there's classified documents, they're withdrawn, and they leave a little piece of paper that says 2 pages, memo, John Smith, Tom Jones, top secret, and they give you a date. So you don't know what's there. You can request it, and 5 years later you might get it. It's taken that long for some stuff that I've got. So it is not easy to break through that wall of security. And not everybody's lying to you when they say they don't have anything. Sometimes they do lie. And you run into funny situations. The National Security Agency, NSA means no such agency, or it never says anything. It took umpteen years to get access to, they admitted having, back in 1980, 156 UFO documents. We want them, you can't have them. Even the justification to the federal court judge, mind you, for withholding them was highly classified, 80% blacked out the first time around. Eventually, we got those in the mid-90s, 156 pages in which you have one sentence you can read, and everything else is whited out. And the reason for the whiteout, I was told by somebody there, was I was showing the blacked out documents on television and getting a good laugh. They say they're not covering anything up, but we don't know what's under the black. Well, now they put it under white. They think we're idiots, you understand. But what I'm saying is governments are very capable of keeping secrets. It's the agencies working